There we go. Good morning, everybody. My name is Justin Wilson. I am the Congregational Life Coordinator, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to this service at the First Universalist Church of Rochester. If you are here for the first time this morning, we especially welcome you and extend the message that you belong because you are you and you are here. Please remain after for coffee hour in the Claire Barton Lounge behind us for further service and connection and maybe some special snacks today. And if you're online, in the same Zoom link. If you're looking to be part of our welcoming ministry here at First Universalist, we've got a number of opportunities for you. We're always looking for individuals to assist with coffee hour, especially in pairs. So if you're interested in that, please see MJ Curry, who I believe is still in the kitchen now. We're also looking to launch an LGBTQ social justice group. If you're interested in that, see me. And we have lots of fun fall and winter events already slated this year that went out in an email earlier this week. And if you're not getting our emails, please be sure to fill out the visitors form in the order of service or online. There's a link in the chat so that we can get to know you better and make sure you're getting those emails. This morning's service is a multi-generational water communion service, so there is childcare available if needed, but children are welcome to stay and encouraged to stay in the sanctuary for all of the service today. And at the back of the sanctuary, there is a new area, a wiggle zone set up back there for worshipers of all ages, with a special rug and some quiet toys and activities if you just need to wiggle it out. You can go there anytime during the service and stay for as long as you need. If you brought a container of water to share for our water communion ritual this morning, that's great. If you're at home, you can grab a container of water and an empty bowl and get that ready. But if you didn't bring any, don't worry. There's water in abundance here for you to fully participate in the ritual and in the service this morning. Okay, before we take a moment to turn and welcome each other, let's welcome our online community by waving towards the camera in the back near the Progress Pride flag. We are happy you are here joining us. If you're online, pop a greeting in the chat. And if you're here in person, let's take a moment to greet our neighbor this morning.
Hardest part of the service is convincing everyone to sit back down. Good morning, everyone. I'm Michael Scott. It's been my honor for about 2 months now to serve as your congregation president, and it's my privilege this morning to formally welcome our new minister, the Reverend Eileen Casey-Campbell. As most of you know, our previous minister told us early last spring that they would be leaving to pursue a new phase of their ministry. Under Clinton Swingle's leadership, the board moved quickly to find a successor. And most of you will remember the excitement in this room when Clinton announced that Reverend Eileen had accepted the position. And speaking personally, I can say that the opportunity to work with a dynamic new minister was one of the main reasons I agreed to lead the board this year. This is gonna be fun. Some of you will recall that when leaders have left us in the past, we generally hired an interim minister, someone who would serve for only a year or two as we sought more permanent settlement. This time around was different. While we and Reverend Eileen have made a mutual promise of only 2 years together, we have done so with the explicit possibility that it might evolve into the long-term commitment of a called ministry. A year from now, we'll begin a process of discernment to see if that possibility will play out. For now, we rejoice in the beginning of our journey together. And in that spirit, I would like to invite you to stand as you are able and join me in a pledge, which you will see on your screen. Reverend Eileen, as members and friends of the First Universalist Church, we welcome you to our congregation. We offer you a free hope and a shared commitment to the church's ministry. We pledge to work with you, to support you, and occasionally to challenge you, trusting firmly in your calling and in your good intentions. We hope that you will support and challenge us as well, and that we will earn your trust as together we embrace our mission to nurture the Spirit and serve the wider community.
Thank you, everyone. And I get to talk for like a whole hour. So this is just a thank you, and I'm so happy to be here. And my pledge to you in return, you will hear, sounds shockingly similar because, as we know, all ministry is mutual. So I pledge to work with you, to support you, to occasionally challenge you, trusting firmly in the mission of this church and your good intentions.
Thank you. And as a token of our hopes that your ministry will blossom and flourish, please accept these flowers. Somebody's got to announce the hymn. That would be me, number 1007, There's a River Flowing Through My Soul.
Welcome to our new minister, Eileen. I promise not to call her Reverend Michelle again. I called her Reverend Michelle once. A few years back, I read an amusing news story about a small town gardener who raised way too many yellow squashes. What to do? She decided to go around the neighborhood in the dark of night, sneaking excess squashes onto the porches of unsuspecting neighbors. One at a time, people awoke to the mysterious arrival of squash. Annual squash drop-offs became a thing in that town. No harm done with this little bit of good mischief, especially if the recipient neighbor liked to eat squash. Perhaps we UUs could do a little community building in these crazy times, starting by surreptitiously placing vegetables on neighbors' porches, especially Republican porches. Might this become an act of mischief-building community? Starting a neighborhood conversation over something harmless when serious conversations are off limits for many MAGAs would be great. It could lead to serious conversations. Then after the vegetable mischief, why not engage in more direct action? Here's my proven good mischief for our political times. I learned about it from a podcast. I think it was Shrinking Trump, in which two PhD psychology professors analyzed Trump's mental health issues and his obviously deteriorating mental competency. As explained by a shrinking Trump guest, write down addresses of homes with Trump signs or banners as you drive around. You may have to go out into the country and on back roads to see them, but they are there. Then send pretty, anonymous postcards to those Trump homes saying, "Doesn't your lawn sign send a message to your neighbors that you support child rape? Watch those lawn signs and banners go into hiding." There are a few more ideas for mischief. Order all fast drink purchases expressly with no ice. Smile. See who gets it. Use it as a conversation starter with those strangers who catch your innuendo. Chalk your sidewalk with "Deport felons. Trump is a convicted felon." Mess with the MAGAs. Wear a solid Democrat blue or swing state purple baseball cap saying, "Make America good again," or "Not great if not good." You can order hats which say anything and wear them everywhere. I didn't wear mine to church, but I have one. Sport bumper stickers saying, "Love thy immigrant neighbor. I pray for Trump's mental health," or "Release the Epstein files." Have 100 printed up and give them to friends. If you are really brave, and if masked ICE agents ever come around, follow them with a bullhorn announcing where they are to help people avoid them. There is at least one lady who actually does this. Or you could, like Lady Macbeth, screw your courage to the sticking point and go to greet ICE, offering them each a flower, or if they're protected by National Guard members, put flowers in the barrels of the National Guard guns, as in the anti-Vietnam War demonstration days. Perhaps we could get permission to paint the street near National Guard deployments if they come here with "Immigrant Lives Matter" to help shape the news. We could also take coolers of ice cubes, good ice, with us, as well as flowers, and offer them to overheated National Guard members. They don't want to be deployed against cities and away from their families anyway. Whatever you do, resist, and get prepared to protect mostly Black and Latino polling places with our white bodies in 2026. Our democracy is at stake. Make a difference. Use mischief creatively for good. Now let us worship together. Sarah Single? As Sarah Single comes forward to light our chalice at First Universalist, and you light a chalice in your own homes, please join me in our chalice lighting words spoken in unison. May we be a people of welcome, here to grow in heart and mind and spirit, and may we reach out to serve our community. Please rise in body or in spirit for our affirmation of faith, followed by the doxology. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship. to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the source and meaning of life, thus to a covenant with each other and with all. Thank you. Please sit down. Apple's Steve Jobs, who gave away a lot of money quietly, said he didn't want to be the richest man in the cemetery. About making money, he said, "Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. We can quote them, disagree with them, glory or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, I see genius, because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do." Now it is time for our offering. Over the ages, this could have been done with stones, shells, feathers, or gold. It would be mischievous of you, indeed, to put some shells, stones, or feathers in the collection plate now. We would prefer money, or gold, of course. Know that this congregation will use your offering to make good trouble, to push the human race forward, not backward, as some with raw power and warped genius will try to do. Please place your offering in the offering basket or give online by scanning the QR code on the back of your order of service. This is also a great time to place visitors' forms in the offering basket. For folks online, please click the link in the chat to give to First Universalist Church. Thank you for your generosity. This morning's offering will now be gratefully received.
Good morning, friends. I'd love to invite forward any young or young at heart who want to come closer for the story, or you can listen from where you are. So I wanted to first engage your minds to think about tricksters. What tricksters can you think about from stories or shows or movies that you have read or seen already? Loki. So many. I love this. Yeah. And so the trickster role is kind of the comedian. They're not the fool, but they're tricky. And sometimes they can be seen as the bad guy. And sometimes they can be seen as the good guy. And it all depends from which side or perspective you're coming from. So I know when we were planning this, we talked a little bit about Robin Hood. If you've ever heard of Robin Hood, rumored to have been a real-life person, was a nobleman, lost his house, became homeless, was on the run, lived in the forest, and then got together with these other people, realizing, they just keep taking money through taxes from all the poor people, and they have nothing. And so he decided to rob from the rich and give to the poor. And so he would be very comedic often when he was taking money, or they would feed the people that came through the forest. But they said, well, you have to pay for your meal. And they'd take a good amount of money and then first give it back to the people so that they could eat and feed themselves. So we heard a bunch of different trickster roles. Some others might be one that I'm going to tell a story about today, Coyote. So this particular story of Coyote comes from the Kalapuya people who live in the Williamite Valley of Western Oregon, to get that right. And there's many different versions of this story. So in one version, it starts out that the frog people have all the water, and Coyote goes to take it. But the one I'm going to tell you is that he needs to save and rescue his friend, Water. So Coyote is going for a walk. He's going to go visit his good friend, Water, who's in the river going down over there. Oh, and thinking of memories with his good friend, Water. She's such a great trickster like me, how she tricks those mountains that she's going by. Nothing to worry about here. I can't hurt you. Stealing one grain of sand at a time until there is a deep gorge running through. And he gets there and realizes, wait, water should be here. But all there is the path where river used to be, but water's not there. He sees the other animals. Where is the water, my friend? Oh, the frog people have trapped her in a dam. And now there's no water for anyone. Water loved to share with everyone if they needed a drink, or if they needed to cook, or if they needed to wash, or just to play and splash around. She loves that. And now everyone has to pay the frog people for the water. Coyote thought, what can we do about this? So he walked up to the dam where the frog people were, and while he was walking, he found a giant fancy shell. This will be perfect. So he walked to the frog people and he said, I would like to trade this big, beautiful shell for a big, beautiful drink of water from your reservoir. Okay, Coyote, but no funny business. Oh, of course, I'm just very thirsty. And so, you can imagine this comically. Coyote flings himself, first he says, but I'm really thirsty. So I'm going to stay down there for a while. don't worry about me. So he sticks his whole head and his arms too into the water. You can imagine he's like waist bent over the dam with his feet kind of like up in the air, and he's down there. And he's down there for a long time. And the frog people say, "Hey, Coyote, you're down there for a really long time. Why are you doing that?" And Coyote came back up. "'Cause I'm thirsty." "Oh, I'm gonna go back down for some more." And Coyote dipped his whole head and half his body back down in the water with his legs dangling up there. And the frog people are thinking, he's down there for a really long time. The Coyote, you're down there for a really long time. If you're just drinking, maybe you need to give us another shot for all this water you're drinking. Coyote came back up. No, I'm almost done. You see, all along, while Coyote is under the water, he is digging furiously with his little paws, one scoop of mud at a time, loosening up the wall of the dam, and his friend, Water, who's so glad to see him, is also swooshing and trying to take away the dirt that he's freeing up. He's like, I'm almost done. And he dips his whole head back down, and scurry, dig, dig. And comes back up. That was just what I needed. And as he walks away, you can imagine the wall of the dam suddenly gets a little trickle, and then a little more water, and a piece of wood or brick or mud falls off of the other side, and a spurt of water, and a pour of water, and suddenly the water bursts out of the dam, and it goes forth into all of the rivers and ponds and oceans of the world. Coyote, the frog people say, "Coyote, you let all of our water go." No one should have all of the water for themselves. Everyone needs water. And now everyone can get to the water, to play with her, to have a refreshing drink, to wash, to cook, or to just have a swim. Because water loves it when we're playful. Thank you so much for listening to our story today. I also love the idea of like, well, what if Coyote couldn't do it on his own and he had to recruit all the other animals to go and take one scoop and another scoop and another scoop when it can't be up to one person to do the job, but all of us. So I invite any of the kiddos who want to come up for children's worship time upstairs and to sing the doxology together.
Into this reverent time of sharing of joys and sorrows of our gathered community. If you would like, you can take a deep breath, place your hand over your heart to be able to listen from this heart-centered place. And friends, we know so much is going on in our world today, and if you have sorrows or joys to share on behalf of our national or global community, you are encouraged to do so today and every Sunday. As Trish places stones into a bowl, I will read aloud the joys and sorrows of our gathered community, and all online are also invited to share their joys and sorrows in our chat. We share concern and sorrow this morning for the people who were picked up by ICE this week near Cato, the packing house and bakery workers included, and all of the staff at Rural and Migrant Ministry, one of our ministry partners in Lyons. We share grief for the family of John Stills from Lima, New York, who lost their young husband and father. We share gratitude and joy with Trish, who survived a week of helping to babysit 3 grandchildren. We share with Jamie in the joy that their husband will start a much-needed new job, and in the celebration of his grandmother's 100th birthday. And friends, today also we share in a community ritual to honor the many joys and sorrows we bring into this space, whether they are read aloud or kept in the sanctuaries of our hearts. In a moment, those who are here in person are invited to come forward, drop stones into the bowl. If you need to remain seated, please raise your hand and someone can come to you with a bowl to drop stones in. If you're joining us online, please send a heart emoji in the meeting chat and let us join in this collective ritual of honoring the joys and sorrows of us all. You may come forward and drop stones now. I invite you now into a time of centering and prayer, followed by some shared silence. Let's start with a deep breath. Perhaps your shoulders fall away from your ears, your feet might find the ground beneath you. As you find yourself fully present here in this space, with this community, Spirit of life, hear our prayer of confession. This moment is calling, and we look side to side, wondering who will answer. The tide of injustice rises up to our necks. Movements of oppression gather strength. The earth is on fire, and we have been waiting for someone to do something, to fix it, save us. We have been waiting and watching, eyes skyward, looking for intervention, for the weather to change, forgetting, maybe a little on purpose even, that it's just us. If clouds must gather and rain need fall, it's us who must let go of the solid ground we know, break through the dams of oppression, discover our power, and become a storm. Spirit of life, may it be so. Amen. Blessed be. My 5-year-old, Ewan, loves Mischief. Maybe it's a youngest child thing. Maybe it's the cultivated defiance of a person born into pandemic trauma. Maybe it's just his personality, let's be honest. When he was 2 or so, he liked to turn the lights out at night all by himself before bed as a very important signifier of his big kidness. So every night he would turn off the lights by the door of his bedroom while I sat on his bed, and then he'd stumble across the room toward me in the dark so that I could tuck him in. And one such night, I was stretching out my hand to him in the darkness, struck by the potential metaphor of the moment. So I said to him as he reached me, I want you to remember, if you ever feel alone in the dark, this feeling of reaching out and your mother finding you. It was not the sweet exchange that I envisioned. This kid replied without hesitation, no. If I be alone in the dark, I'll go in that pantry and I'll climb that shelf and eat candy, and you'll not see me and you'll not find me. He had no fear of darkness. Darkness is nothing but a friend to the mischief maker. Reverend Sherry over at First Unitarian, also a lover of mischief and youngest child, used to like asking toddler Ewan, what are you thinking about, buddy? Because his standard answer was, I'm just thinking about what mischief to do next. Reverend Leela Sinha, who wrote the UU Minister Association's Berry Street essay this year, had basically the same thing to say when asked to deliver a timely, spiritually grounded message to fellow ministers. Let's think about what mischief we're going to do next. Reverend Leela, who is self-described as the wizard you meet in the woods so you learn to use your magic without blowing everything up around you, offered a message that was essentially, when we feel small, ineffective, powerless in the face of enormous systems of oppression, to remember there is one power left to small folk, and that is mischief. It is, in fact, a power exclusively held by people who are ordinary, vulnerable, otherwise powerless. Leela invited us into the ministry of figures like Robin Hood, like the trickster characters of Anansi or Coyote, or the modern trickster characters of Bugs Bunny and Bart Simpson. And I thought of my favorite scene from the movie The Sound of Music, where the nuns in the convent confess that they have removed vital pieces of the Nazi soldiers' car engines. And that, you may not know, was based on actual sabotage of Nazi vehicles by French citizens, it turns out. Mischief-making youth ran around Paris during the Nazi occupation, pouring sugar into the gas tanks of SS vehicles. French mechanics who were forced to work on their cars and tanks deliberately damaged them. And regular people across France would drive at excruciatingly slow speeds when German military vehicles were behind them. When their leaders had already surrendered at a time when it seemed like they'd lost, mischief was the power that they had left. At the same time, the Danish resistance during World War II leaked the deportation plans for Denmark's 8,000 Jewish citizens, and churches across the country held fake funeral services, packing their Jewish neighbors disguised as mourners into the sanctuary of their pews, while officers went knocking at empty homes. As a result of that church mischief and quite a bit more, 7,200 Jewish Danes were smuggled into Sweden in a matter of a couple of weeks, and 99% of Jewish Danes survived the Holocaust. When we ask ourselves what power we could possibly have in the face of ICE, remember that the power of even a little bit of small mischief can save our neighbors' lives. When the former Czechoslovak Republic started pushing back against Soviet colonial power in the 1960s, the Soviet government responded with a military invasion, like you do. The Republic was small and relatively powerless compared to the massive global superpower of the USSR. So they turned to mischief, of course. People in the city of Prague climbed the poles of street signs, unscrewing the signs, tossed them to each other, and mixed up all of the street signs in the city so that only residents who knew the city could figure out where they were going. In the villages outside of Prague, taking a cue from the city, citizens repainted all the signs of the names of towns, changing them to one common name for every village, and making the countryside unnavigable. The people's motto was, "Even an elephant cannot swallow a hedgehog." The power of mischief lies in its broadness, right? We might not amount to much on our own, but we are a mighty force if trouble is catching. A little prickliness is sometimes all we have, but enough prickliness, a hedgehog's worth, is more powerful than we can imagine. One of my favorite pieces of the oral history of the Stonewall riots is the many reports that on that first night, protesters formed a chorus line, linking arms and driving the police back a full city block with high kicks and singing. This is the power of mischief as well. It is not rooted in our rage or reason or even our desperation. It is rooted in our joy. And any of us who have been a toddler know the joy, the true deep delight of good mischief. And right now, this morning, a flotilla filled with ordinary people from all over the world is sailing across the Mediterranean in hopes of crossing the Israeli blockade of Gaza to deliver food and medical supplies. They are just regular folks, doctors, engineers, clergy, teenagers, and grandparents, without the might of an army, or the United Nations, or a world superpower. And they will, in all likelihood, be stopped and detained by Israeli Defense Forces, as these efforts have been for the last 18 years of blockade. But the power of mischief, the power of ordinary folks making trouble for systems of oppression, is that their little trouble will show the world the true nature of those systems. Like the trickle of water that carves out a canyon over thousands of years, regular people do have the power to chip away at the edifice of injustice. Friends, it is already crumbling, and there are so very many of us. So when I ask you this morning at the beginning of our ministry together, what are you thinking about? I hope you are considering what mischief we are going to do next. Let us pour forth, making good mischief together, friends. And let us literally pour. I invite you now into our water communion ritual. And whether you brought water from a special source or just your kitchen sink, or whether you use the water that's already here on our table, I would like you to join with us in our sanctuary or at your home with your own container of water and an empty bowl. There are bowls for pouring in the sanctuary here at the front and also at the back. The one at the front has a camera for Zoom participants to observe the ritual up close. And you can choose whichever one feels most right for you. Or you can raise a hand for a neighbor or an usher to help pour out water on your behalf. But let's start with a breath. Let your gaze soften, or perhaps even let your eyes fall closed. Allow your breath to slow and to draw your focus inward. Bring your attention to the water that makes up most of your being. The you that is nourishing and fluid. Breathe, acknowledging the you that is connected to the whole wide web of life on this nourishing and fluid planet. Listen for that voice of connection that sings in the deep well of your soul. You might choose to honor one or more big feelings today with your water. A sense of drought within you, or the feeling of a swirling storm, or the awareness of calm stillness. Perhaps all three. If you listen now within, and find that your heart has known drought, is in need of refreshment and renewal. If the far corners of your soul have gone unwatered for too long, and labor or loneliness or grief has sapped life from the ground of your being, I invite you to pour some water into one of the bowls now and feel its nourishment. Feel the abundance of a field that is allowed to rest, the gifts of the earth spilling over for you. If you have felt drought within, please come forward and pour now. Take another deep breath together. If you listen within and hear that your heart is in a storm, the upheaval of wild winds blowing you in every direction, if the squalls of injustice or disease or sorrow threaten to submerge you, I invite you to pour water this morning. I invite you to pour and feel relief from the frenzy of this storm. Feel a strong foundation to hold you. Feel the peace of a liberation that leaves no one out. So if you have felt a storm within, please come forward and pour now. One more deep breath. Turn inward. If you listen within and discover calm waters, waters that glimmer in the light and reflect truth back to you, waters that heal and hold and lift you, buoyant in all the goodness of life and love, I invite you to pour water into our shared bowl. Pour it in gratitude for the calm and abundance within you, for a place to return to in times of need. If you turn inward and find calm within, please pour out the water for it now. May these waters, here and at home, the combined gifts and needs of all of us, remind us that alone we are just a drop, but together we make a whole and holy ocean. When we come together as many waters in one vessel, we can meet this moment with great power. May it be so, and amen. And would you rise in body or in spirit and sing together our closing hymn, number 126. as Trish extinguishes our chalice flame this morning, let us read together the words printed on the screens. We extinguish this flame, but we keep its light in our hearts, with its message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls to the world we live in, until we are together again. As we close our service this morning, I invite you to place a hand over your heart. If you are joining us online, I invite you to turn your settings to gallery view and look upon the faces of those gathered here with you. For those of us in the sanctuary, take a moment to look around at those here with us this morning. And this morning's benediction is the words of course, the late John Lewis. To not get lost in a sea of despair. Be hopeful. Be optimistic. Our struggle is not the struggle of a day, a week, a month, or a year. It is the struggle of a lifetime. Never be afraid to make some noise and get in good, necessary trouble. Amen. And everyone is invited to join us for coffee hour immediately after the service in the Clara Barton Lounge or online in the current Zoom meeting. We hope to see you there.